Make a small change. Since this is Internet Governance Forum Sri Lanka, since this is a Sri Lanka Government Forum, we will not have a billion users in Sri Lanka, right? Since we don't have a billion people in the country. So I would like to suggest this would be maybe, as the Honorable Minister mentioned, the next 5 million users. Right? Currently we have maybe 5 million people using the internet in Sri Lanka. Right? I don't know whether that's a perfect number, but somewhere in that region. Now, as the Minister said, we would like that to be 10 million or half the population. So how do we get this next 5 million users in Sri Lanka to use the internet? And of course, not just use the internet in some very, very peripheral way, use it in some way which is central to their lives, where they are using it to actually develop their lives, where they find it is something very useful in either their business or education or personal life or anything else which they are doing. And so I would like to sort of think about it that way. So let's not try to get into other things. Let's try to focus on how we are going to get internet from where it is now today. Unfortunately, we don't have a person. I don't know, maybe unless Mr. Wasantha is going to talk about it. Yes, I'm sorry. Mr. Wasantha is going to talk about this loan and the government perspective. So we can look at that as well, and then various other perspectives. So I would like to first invite Mr. Wasantha Deshapriya, Secretary to the Ministry of Telecommunication and Digital Infrastructure, to give his short presentation, and then we will have a small discussion after that.
Thanks, Professor Gihan, and ladies and gentlemen. My role is to give you an introduction onto this, so I will be brief. So we know that internet has been growing, and it has by. Oops. I wanted to see that the ODP is not working in the computer, so sorry for this. The Open Office is not supported. I thought that Gihan, Professor Gihan, who is first opened me to, who introduced Open Office to me back in 2004, would be having. No, it is, this is not, no, you can see that. Right, what I had was that by 2015, it has gone beyond 3.1, and this is how US is planning to get into the next set of million or billion of people users. They want to say they are expecting that people will be using Google Glass and Watch, and especially iWatch and so on. But I don't think that it is the case in Sri Lanka. What is the situation in Sri Lanka? Now, approximately we have 25% ICT literature, and computer ownership by household is 12% by, as per the computer survey carried out by Census Department in the second half of 2015, and internet penetration 3.5. And 3.5 subscribers for mobile broadband, and for fixed 0.5 million subscribers. That is the TRC. Somebody asked me that what is the from where I did get that. And internet penetration is World Bank has published a report latter part of 2015. It is in Sri Lanka, it is 22%. And ICT Development Index, which was published by ITU in 2015 record, and they have compared that Sri Lanka has not been, being they relegated or being improved. We have been sitting at 115th place in ITU records. That is basically not something that we could be happy about. Then this is the we can see that we are below than the developing countries. We are even sitting behind the world average and average of developing countries in that way. This is again not properly supported by Microsoft PowerPoint. My sites are not supported, so unfortunately it be to carry on. So what I wanted to say is broadband going up, GDP going up, and living standard going up. And then how are you going to improve the broadband coverage and the supply side? As I said, it's a national broadband network, national broadband policy, and so on. So we are to work on that area, and also to ensure 100% broadband coverage, something like Google Loon to come and play a role. My last slide is also not displayed by Microsoft PowerPoint, so I will just I hope Internet Governance Forum would take care of, pay more attention onto this, being open, using open document format and supporting that as a mandatory thing for us to work in this way. So what I wanted to say in my last slide was that demand side, government is working on, already there are 135 to 150 government online services. But if you look at any other country, Canada has over 6,000 government services online. And we don't have any government services online for government to business. So we have completely put government to business side in the freezer. So we have to work on a number of areas, supporting further Nanasala to make to improve the access points, and supporting Sinhala and Tamil localization programs, and especially to do more and more government services for farmers, fishermen, and all that, the people who are what we call bottom of the pyramid. We have completely negated, ignored the bottom of the pyramid aspect while delivering services for government services for man on the road. I think these are the things that we need to concentrate on. My time is over. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Deshapriya. I would like to ask anybody who has questions, because we can have a short session for just maybe 1 or 2 questions. And you can ask questions in any language, English, Sinhala or Tamil, that's fine. We have people who will understand and translate if necessary. At ඕනෙම භාෂාවකින් ප්‍රශ්නයක් කොට කමක් නැහැ.
දැන් Google Loon එක ගැන ගොඩක් තියෙන හැමෝගෙම පොඩි උනන්දුවක්. මේ Google Loon project එක කොහොමද අපේ සාමාන්‍ය යූසර්ට කනෙක්ට් වෙන්නේ කියන එක පොඩ්ඩක් අපිට පැහැදිලි විස්තරයක් කරගන්න පුළුවන් වේද?
දැන් ඒක ගැන තාම කියන්න ටිකක් පොඩ්ඩක් නියම කාලේ ඇවිල්ලා නැහැ කියලා මම හිතන්නේ. ඒක මම දකින හැටියට ඇත්තටම Google Loon project එකම කියලා තියෙන එක සාමාන්‍යයෙන් broadband access නැති තැන් වලට, විශේෂයෙන්ම ultra rural areas වලට වගේ දේවල් වලට ඇති නැති ભેදය නැති කිරීම සඳහා නැති ප්‍රදේශවලට විශේෂයෙන්ම සහයෝගය දෙන්න පුළුවන් එකක් ඇටියට. දැනට මම හිතන්නේ අපේ 80%කට පමණ දැනටමත් කවරේජ් එක තියෙන නිසා ඉතිරි ප්‍රමාණයට දෙන්න පුළුවන් වෙන විදිහට හදන එක තමයි මම හිතන්නේ වඩාත් රාජ්‍යාංශයේ විසින් වැඩි සලකා බලන්න ඕනේ. ඉස්සෙල්ලම ගිහපු free wifi ඒ කතා මම හිතනවා බොහොම වැරදි කවුවත් හොයන්න නැතුව බලපු දේවල්. ඒවා කවුවත් corrections කරෙත් නැහැ. අපි දන්නවා කිසිම දෙයක් නොමිලේ කියලා දෙයක් නැහැ. කාට හරි ඒකේ වියදම දාගන්න වෙනවා. ඒ අතින් Google Loon තවමත් 100% ටෙස්ට් කරලා ඉවරත් නැහැ. විශේෂයෙන්ම තව ආරක්ෂක අමාත්‍යාංශය සහ අපේ අමාත්‍යාංශය TRC සහ ඒ සියලුම ආයතන එකඟ වෙලා තවමත් මේ සඳහා අවශ්‍ය සුදුසු තත්ත්වය ඇති කිරීම පිණිස කටයුතු කරගෙන ඉන්නවා. තවමත් මේ කටයුතු මූලික කටයුතු තාමත් 100ක් අවසන් වෙලා නැති හින්දා මම හිතනවා ඒක ගැන ටිකක් අපි කතා කරන්න කලින් වැඩි කියලා.
Talking about government services, I think one of the...
Just introduce yourself.
I'm Dr. Kavan Ratnatunga. What about government services? One of the people, Sri Lankans who don't have good access maybe to internet is all the Middle East workers who are there and would require sometimes government services over the internet if possible. And if there is any initiative to help them to get on the internet and get government services which would be otherwise difficult for them to get from the Middle East. And they are the ones who are really supporting our economy, sending $7 billion a year, without which we would be in big trouble. So what is being done to help them?
Currently there is a proposal by the particular ministry that is called migrant worker management system. Something that has been already implemented in Malaysia and Philippines. So that is to provide, but however, currently they have, first instance they would need to come to the High Commission or Embassy to register, and then thereafter they should be able to access their profile and all that, you know, it is supporting local languages, so they could be able to use even social media platforms that is being developed. So that is proposed right now. There is a proposal at the cabinet of ministers to provide to empower migrant workers to be connected and provide information without any barriers to their families as well as the ministry, the Foreign Employment Bureau, and so on. So it is again on the cards, and I am hopeful that it has a component that before any migrant worker leaving the country, they should be trained on how to access the system and so on. But hopefully during next 2 years, we are hopeful that it would come into, would be implemented.
Thank you. We have one more, Mr. Niranjan.
Thanks. I think my name is Niranjan. Thanks for this forum. I can remember somewhere around 2005 we had the Sri Lanka project which set up Nanasala, and there were a lot of single line code and a lot of developments. And after 2009, this whole thing kind of got stuck like, and I think right now we are talking about it again. So I think we need to look back what we have done through Sri Lanka project, which was a major boost to take internet and ICT to rural areas. But we know that certain villages that I have visited has really been impact, like Lahugala and all. So I think we should look at those experiences that we had during Sri Lanka project, find out how we can triple, even quadruple such efforts to get to this next level, next numbers. And like Mr. Wasantha Deshapriya mentioned, fishermen have been totally ignored in this ICT. I did some research. And there are other people like small merchants in Pola and those kind of people. And
if the questions be short.
Okay. So I would like to know what sort of a action plan available to do reach such people.
ICTA has submitted 64 projects and being approved this year. and there are a huge, considerable amount of money being allocated for improving online presence of government as well as online availability of government services. So they are. I am not sure what it would be in the basket of e-services this year, but what I have seen is my experience by working there is that we mostly go for the services that could be easily converted into online services. So I highly value Mr. Niranjana Meegamana's effort as well as support, and provided that you could you have already worked with fishermen and farmers, and I am ready to invite anyone who is having grassroots level contacts and being experienced like you to come and give us some proposals. What are the most needed, urgent, burning cases, and how ICT could be used as a tool to provide solutions, being a facilitator, being a mediator, being the vehicle for providing solutions. So I will separately write to you, Niranjan, and be in touch and try to see that how we could get your support. Anyone else, please give this is that is why we want this forum to be bigger. It is such a good proposal that we should go down to the grassroots level, and more people like you, and we would be better off providing services to the bottom of the pyramid, as they call it. Thank you.
Mama Srinimal Padmakumara, මැදපෙරදිග සහ විදේශ ගණනාවක සේවය කරන ශ්‍රී ලංකාව වෙනුවෙන් අන්තර්ජාල රේඩියෝ එකක් පවත්වන යන කෙනෙක්. එතුමා මතු කරපු දේ පිළිබඳව මටත් තියෙන්නේ ගැටලුව ප්‍රශ්න දෙකක් තියෙනවා කෙටි ප්‍රශ්න. මොකද දැන් අපි රාජ්‍ය ආයතනවල සේවාවන් ඊතර හෝ මෙතර සිට ලබා ගන්නට අපි ඒවට ලොග් වෙනකොට අපිට තියෙන බරපතලම ගැටලුවක් තමයි ඒවා අප්ඩේට් වෙලා නැහැ. ඒවා යාවත් කාලින වීම ඉතාමත්ම සීරෝ සමානලාට ඒ සඳහා මම පෞද්ගලිකව ආයතනවලට කතා කරාම ඒගොල්ලෝ දෙන උත්තරය තමයි අපිට කෙනෙක් නැහැ ඩේලි මේවා කරන්න කියලා. ඒ සඳහා රජයේ කිසියම් මැදිහත් වීමක් වෙනවද රාජ්‍ය ආයතනවල අන්තර්ජාල ලොගින් වලදී තියෙන තොරතුරු ගන්න. එක දෙවෙනි එක මේ ලූන් එක ගැන දැන් ලූන් එක අපි පස්සේ කතා කරමු. හරි.
ඒක බොහොම වැදගත් ප්‍රශ්නයක්. ඔබතුමාගේ වැඩසටහන මමත් බොහොම නිතර අහනවා ඒ පිළිබඳව. මේ පාර මේ වසරේ දැන් පහුගිය වසර 10 බැලුවොතින් රාජ්‍යාංශය විශේෂම ICT ආයතනය රාජ්‍යාංශය සඳහා වෙබ් අඩවි නැවත සමහර ආයතන වලට 3 වර 4 වර හදලා දීලා තිනවා. ඒක කොපමණ ඒකට හේතුව නොයෙකුත් හේතුවින්දා අපි දන්න පරිණාමයත් එක්ක තාක්ෂණය වෙනස් වීම මිනිසුන් ඒ අයගේ අවශ්‍යතාවයන් වෙනස් වීම අනුව හදලා දුන්නා. නමුත් කවදාකවත් බැරි වුණා තිනවා ඒක අපිට නියම විදිහට අප්ඩේට් කරලා දෙන්න. ඒක හැබැයි අපි එක දැන රාජ්‍යාංශයටත් ප්‍රධාන ගැටලුවක් තියෙනවා. දෙමළෙන් මේක අප්ඩේට් කරන්න බැරි හින්දා. මොකද සිංහලෙන් අප්ඩේට් කරොත් දෙමළ ඉංග්‍රීසි දෙකෙන්මත් අප්ඩේට් කරන්න ඕනේ කියන නීතිය තියෙනවා. ඒකින්ද එකක්වත්ම නොකර ඉන්නවා. ඉතින් මේ ගැටලුවට සමග පිළියමක් මේ වසරේදී රාජ්‍ය ICT ආයතනයට බය කරලා තිනවා. වෙබ් අඩවි හැදුවා ඇති දැනට තියෙන ඒවා 100% අප්ඩේට් කරන්න ඒගොල්ලන්ගෙන් මොනවද දෙන්න පුළුවන් පහසුකම්. ඒ ආයතන අපි දන්නවා දැනගත්තොත් අපිට වැදගත්ම ආයතන 50ත් 100ත් අතර ගාණක් බැලුවොත් මහ ජනතාවට ඉතාමත් අත්‍යවශ්‍ය සේවා ලබා දෙන ඒවා බැලුවොත් අන්නේ ආයතන තෝරාගෙන ඒ ආයතනට අවශ්‍ය සේවා දෙන්න. සේවය දීලා අපි බලාපොරොත්තු වුණාට කවදාකවත් ඒගොල්ලන්ගේ අභ්‍යන්තර හැකියාව දෙමළ භාෂාවෙන් අපි දන්න අපේ රටේ අපි කොපමණ රජයේ මහන්සි වුණත් තවමත් විසඳ ගන්න බැරි වෙලා තියෙන ප්‍රශ්නයක්. ඉතින් ඒ හින්දා දෙමළෙන් පරිවර්තනය කර ගැනීම බෑ. දෙමළෙන් පරිවර්තනය කර දීම හෝ කරන්න කියන එකයි මේ වසරේදී ඔවුන්ගේ මුදල් වෙන් කරලා තියෙන්නේ රාජ්‍ය වෙබ් අඩවි යාවත් කාලීන කිරීම කියන එක ප්‍රධාන වශයෙන්. මේක තමයි අලුතෙන් වෙබ් අඩවි හැදවීම නෙමෙයි යාවත් කාලීන කර තැබීම. එතන ඒකත් ඉතාමත්ම හොඳ කාලීන ප්‍රශ්නයක් සහ කටයුත්තක් හැටියට.
Deshapriya මහතා කොමානිත් ප්‍රශ්න අපට අපි මේ අවස්ථාවේ ප්‍රශ්න සතිය නවතලා මම ආරාධනා කරනවා Mr. Prabath Dahanayaka, General Manager, Product Development and Management of Sri Lanka Telecom, to give a presentation on service providers' responsibility in internet connectivity. Again, Mr. Prabath, I would like to ask you to, there's some cards being shown, limit to 5 minutes or less if can, because we won't have more discussion.
Okay, thank you. Its topic is connecting the non-connected in the rural areas. So it seems that the topic is very straightforward and easy, but it's not so. It's a very challenging subject. Of course, during the recently concluded the World Mobile Congress, it was the very, very hot topic because there is a plan to connect 1 billion customers during next 3 years. But we all know that today, daily 5 million things are connected to the internet. So there was a question or one critique that we have given more emphasis on connecting the things rather than connecting the people. So in Sri Lanka, there are about 5 million households. We have already connected just 1 million using the fixed and fixed wireless. So 80% of the households are to be connected. So that is the issue. But everybody knows that the connections are coming from low ARPU segment. At the same time, we need huge capital to invest by any access methods to develop those rural areas. But as the operators, it is the operators' responsibility to develop this area because we all know that the fixed line penetration or the fixed line saturation in Sri Lanka is good 10 years away. So there should be a growth. The growth should be driven by the acquisition. So that is our motive. That should be all the operators' motive. So there should be a plan. So we have our various access methods, that is the LTE, fixed or wireless, the FTTH, the best-in-class access methods that has already taken the traction in Sri Lanka. So there is a huge demand. And at the same time, we have ADSL technologies. But the problem or the challenge faced by the operators is how to reduce the per bit costs or how to increase the speeds, at the same time how to decrease the latency. So all these three are challenges, very difficult task, but at the same time you need to achieve those things to provide the good service to the customers. So you need to introduce various kind of technologies, that is 3D MIMO kind of thing or the software based network technologies. But the customer demand is there. As the minister very correctly mentions, now we, according to the Akamai report, our average speeds are very, very good. But the main fixed line operator has recently changed their package concepts, that is from speed based to volume based. So you can expect more increase of the average speeds during next 6 months in Sri Lanka. So that's a good thing. And I will answer the questions if there will be any. At the moment, our motive should be the inclusive kind of thing. I mean, to get the rural customers into the inclusive financial, digital, and social connected network. So to do that, we need some radical or the changed approach, that is from conventional evolutionary approach to the revolutionary approach. Thank you very much.
So we will have the discussion in a moment, but now I'd like to invite Mr. Prasad Silva from Media Defined Incorporated to give his presentation. Again, I would like to ask you, please keep it to 5 minutes.
Make your
Hey, can you ask someone? So this is start now. I guess you need to do later. Can I just end this? This is not my one. End this. Okay, go to the IGF. Just go here. Desktop. Oh yeah, so it's IGF. Yeah, sure. Right. Good morning, everyone. So I'm here to talk about digital divide. So we can't talk about next billion user without talking about digital divide. So what is digital divide? So that is inequality of accessing ICT resources. So digital divide can be in within a country or maybe in between countries. So if it is in between countries, so we call it as global digital divide. So this graph will show you how this from time, how this digital divide, so decreasing of inequality. So with the increase of the capacity of the telecommunication line in kbps. All right, so these are some of the factors that, affecting digital divide. So as you can see, we have language barrier, and then cultural barrier, income, and then the infrastructure, willingness, and then directions. So if you take about culture, so there are some countries still, so they don't allow people to use internet, especially North Korea, and some part of China and Cuba. So these are some of the countries, and then Middle East countries. So they don't allow access to internet. And then now infrastructure, I think, so Mr. Wasantha so talk about, so his plan. And then the willingness. Now, even though we try to put all these things in rural areas, so people have to have willingness to use internet. And then the proper directions, so we need to have proper advisors. Okay, so what to do, so not just go and put some computers and then ask them to use internet. No, so we need to have proper directions. Okay, so let's take a look at some stats and about digital divide in Sri Lanka. So the lack of language, local language support is a major issue. And then the infrastructure issues, so then for the rural areas, access to Wi-Fi or the signal availability. And then some parts, they don't have electricity, no power. So then even though we provide them computers, so how they keep the computers running. And then educational issues, so lack of knowledge and then the comprehension ability in English language. Gender restrictions, still some women or girls, so they don't allow to use access computers. Skill migration, so some rural areas, there may be some people, who knows about computers, so they don't want to stay in that area, so they migrate to town or maybe they go abroad. And then lack of coordinated effort in implementation of projects, and then the political issues. Alright, so initiatives from Sri Lanka. So they started nanosolar projects. So one of the successful projects started, and then so they got fund from Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, $1 million to boost this project. And then the other one is Sri Lanka program. So that's to transform services, government services into e-government. So right now it's somewhat successful. People can do online revenue license and then digital health program, and then so they have some plans going forward. And then the current IT literacy rate is 43%, and so they are trying to increase it by to 75%. One of the another initiative from Sri Lanka is the Batuangala, a remote e-village. So they try to place computers and then try to engage communities within that Batuangal area, and then try to promote ICT. So I'm going through fast because, all right, some of the examples addressing digital divide by other countries. So South Africa, so they put digital library, and then so there are some other organizations, they have initiated 1 laptop per child, and then the Gate Foundation again, so they give money to buy computers and then put some training. And then in Kenya, so Carnegie Foundation, so they funded for the libraries. All right, so මොනවාද මේ smartphone වලින් කරන්න පුළුවන්. දැන් අපිට smartphone use කරලා අපිට smartphone use කරලා digital divide එක මේ bring down ගන්න පුළුවන්ද? ඒ කියන්නේ smartphone use කරලා අපිට පුළුවන් දැන් සමහර application අපිට use කරන්න පුළුවන් railway schedule, banking, and then hotel booking. And then people සමහර කට්ටියට use කරන්න පුළුවන් smartphone use කරලා ඒගොල්ලන්ගේ internet email check කරන්න, wifi මේ online connect වෙන්න පුළුවන්, Skype, emo, Viber. දැන් මගේ ප්‍රශ්නේ තමයි ඒගොල්ලෝ මේ smartphone use කරන කට්ටියට ඒගොල්ලෝ හොඳ IT literacy එකක් තියෙනවද? එහෙම නැත්නම් smartphone use කරලා අපිට digital divide එක bring down කරන්න පුළුවන්ද? Because instead of giving laptops අපිට smartphone දෙන්න පුළුවන් ගොඩක් අයට දීලා අපිට පුළුවන් ඒගොල්ලන්ට අහන්න මේ ඒගොල්ලන්ට so they can access information because knowledge is power, so they can get knowledge from using even smartphones. Last challenge is to address these issues. So how we provide equipment, and then the purchasing power of the common man, and then the local content, and then establish strategies, and then making policies with engage with private sectors, and then getting more support grants from the community and then the local businessmen. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. So let me go next. I'm also supposed to be a speaker here. So my topic is language. So we have always looked at various different reasons why people are unable to use internet. One would be like physical handicap, like you may be blind, you may be having difficulty in mobility, you may be having economic problems. But if you look at it, if you go to the internet today, almost all the useful information we find is still in English. Now, the situation, of course, was even more difficult maybe 15 years ago when Mr. Wasantha, myself, Harsha, and many other people, one was here in the morning but is not here, we started looking at this language issue, and we found that computers those days, if you take 15 years ago, was entirely running in English. There was no Sinhala, no Tamil, anything like that. Now, I think with a lot of effort in the last 10 years or not the last 10 years, say from 2002 up to maybe the end of 2010 or so, we managed to get the infrastructure ready. So today, all the computers are running in Sinhala and Tamil. Most of the mobile phones, Android, iPhone, and so on, operate in Sinhala and Tamil, and so on. But still, if you look at it, if the average person who knows only English, knows only Sinhala or knows only Tamil wants to do something on the internet, what can we do? So this is the same thing which was mentioned even by Mr. Niranjan and which Mr. Wasantha Deshapriya addressed, Niranjan, of websites not being updated. So one of the things I think we should do is try to see, okay, how can we make the internet more usable for people who don't know English, right? And also people who know only Tamil. In this country, unfortunately, the amount of information available in Tamil is, very close to zero. Very, very small amount of people are able to use the internet effectively. Not a small amount of people, the amount of content which is available in Tamil is very low. Sinhala is slightly better, but still not good enough. So this is just a thing. We have to come up with some strategy, not only for government. Wasantha was talking about government, but what about the private sector? almost no other than maybe a couple of banks. So because we have been running this best web competition for the last several years, and we have found that other than Parliament, now Parliament has a very good trilingual website. Everything is there in all 3 languages. Other than Parliament, almost none of the other places have a very good website. And if you take the commercial companies, other than maybe 1 or 2 banks who have quite good websites in Sinhala and Tamil, commercial sector almost zero. Everything is only in English. Probably the only country in the world where we are not having websites in our own language, but we have website in somebody else's language. Very strange. Okay, so I will wind down there, and so instead of waiting till the end, I would like to open the floor for discussion of the speakers who spoke after Mr. Deshapriya, basically on enabling access to internet in different ways. Yes, Mr. Gihan Muroka.
Thank you. මම හිතන්නේ මෙතන අර කම්පියුටර්ස් තමයි ඉතින් ඇති අන්තිමටම මේ පාවිච්චි කරන්න අපි භාවිත කරන මෙවලම. නමුත් මම දන්නේ ගිය රජයෙන් ආනයනය යූස් කරපු ඒවට ආනයනය බද්දක් ගැහුවා, විශාල බද්දක්. ඒකෙන් මම දකිනවා විශාල IT ෆීල්ඩ් එකේ කඩා වැටීමක්, විශේෂයෙන් පාසල් ළමුන් ඇතුළු විශාල දෙනෙක්ගේ රැකියාව නැති වුණා. ඒ දවස්වල රුපියල් 5000 ඉඳලා 20000ට හොඳ කම්පියුටරයක් ගන්න පුළුවන්, යූස් කරපුවා ලැප්ටොප් එකක් හැමදේම. දැන් මිනිස්සු ගන්න බෑ, අඩුම රුපියල් 60000න් 50000න් ඉහළ තමයි අලුත් ඒවා ගන්න පුළුවන්. කිසියම් කෙනෙක්ගේ හරි දෙන්නෙක්ගේ හරි උමනාවක් මත ඒවට ටැක්ස් ගැහුවා. නමුත් ඒකෙන් අධ්‍යාපනයේ පැත්තෙන් විශාල පරිහානියක් වෙනවා. මොකද අපේ අනාගත ළමයින්ට ගොඩාක් ඈත පළාත් වල ඉන්න ළමයි කම්පියුටර් සතපත ගෑවා, ඒවැ කෑලි ගැලෙව්වා. ඊට පස්සේ සමහර අය කතා කරනවා ඊගාබේජ් කියලා. නමුත් මම නම් හිතන්නේ ඒවා රීසයිකල් කළා ඔක්කොම. ඉතින් ඒ ගැන හිතනවා නම් මම හිතනවා වඩා හොඳයි. මොකද ඒ ටැක්ස් ෆ්‍රී ගෙනාව නම් එතනදී ඒ තාක්ෂණය අපි අතපත ගන්නවා. දැන් මොකද්ද? ටැබ් එකයි නැත්නම් ලැප්ටොප් එකයි විතර ඒක ඇතුළ අතපත ගන්නෙ නැහැ. අපේ එන අනාගත පරම්පරාවට ඒවට රජ් කරන්න විදිහක් නැහැ. ඕකේ ටැක්ස් එක අඩු කරනවා නම් විශාල ඊගාබේජ් එන්න පුළුවන්, මහ ගොඩක් එන්නේ නැහැ. නමුත් ඒවා රීසයිකල් වෙනවා. ඒකෙන් විශාල හානියක් ICT ෆීල්ඩ් එකට වෙලා තිනවා කියන එක මගේ නම් තකීම.
මම පොඩ්ඩක් ඒකට කියන්නම්. කියන එක ඇත්ත දිහා නේ උනාට ඊගාබේජ් කියන එකත් ඇත්තටම ලොකු ප්‍රශ්නයක්. මිනිසුන්ට එහෙ නිකමටවත් කාටවත් දෙන්න බැරි ඒවා මෙහාට එවනවා. ඇත්තටම අපිට සල්ලි ගෙවන එක මෙහාට ගන්න ඊට පස්සේ අපේ ඒගොල්ලෝ කීයක් හරි විකුණනවා. ඕකේ තියෙන ඔක්කොම කැලි ටික තැන් තැන් වල විසි වෙනවා. මොකද අපිට හරියට රීසයික්ලින් ප්‍රොසෙස් එකකුත් නැහැ. ඒක හින්දා ඔය ටික ඔක්කොම මිනිස්සු නිකන් කුණුකට දානවා. ඕකේ කැඩ්මියම් එක එක වගේ හෙවි මෙටල්ස් ගොඩක් තියෙනවා. ඉතින් ඔව් ළමයින්ට අඩු ගන්නට කම්පියුටර්ස් උත් ඕනේ, ඒක ඇත්ත. ඒ වගේම වෙන තැන් වල භාවිතා කරන්න බැරි ඒගොල්ලන්ගේ රටේ විසි කරන්න දෙන්නේ නැති ඒවා මෙහාට ගෙනල්ලා විසි කරන එකත් හොඳ වැඩක් නෙවෙයි. ඒක දෙපැත්තම මම හිතන්නේ සලකලා බලන්න ඕනේ. එක පැත්තක් විතරක් බලන්න නැතුව කියලා මගේ අදහස.
නමුත් මට ඒකට ඇඩ් කරන්න ඕන සර්. සමාවෙන්න ඕන. නමුත් ඇත්තටම එක කෑල්ලක් හොයාගෙන නැහැ. හැම මදර් බෝඩ් එකම රත්තරන් ගන්න එවුමෝ කියලා ආපහු උණු කරන්න ගෙනිච්චා. රුපියල් 100 ගාන රුපියල් 50 ගාන අපිට මදර් බෝඩ් ආපහු තියනවා විකුණන්න පුළුවන්. ලෙඩ් වලට ඒවා බැටරි කල්ලා ඔක්කොම ගෙනිච්චා. මම නම් දකින්නේ අපේ පොළොවට එක ඔය අනිත් ඒවට වඩා කර්මාන්ත ශාලාවලින් වැටෙනවා ඒවා දශමයක්වත් බිම වැටුන්නේ නැහැ. ඔක්කොම ආපහු අපි ඉම්පෝට් එක්ස්පෝර්ට් කළා. එහෙම බලනොත් මම ඒ තර්කයට ඇත්තම විරුද්ධයි. ඒක ඕපන් කරන එකෙන් විශාල ලාභයක් මිස කවදාවත් ගාබේජ් යන මේ ඉතුරු වෙලා නැහැ. පුළුවන් නම් පෙන්නන්න ප්‍රොසෙසර් අපේ ප්‍රොසෙසර්ස් වික්කා 10 ගණන් වලට පරණ ප්‍රොසෙසර්ස්. මොකද ඒවා රත්තරන් තියනවා කියලා. ඉතින් ඒ හින්දා මම හිතනවා මම ඇත්තටම අවංකව පර්සනලි මම ඒක පිළිගන්නේ නැහැ. මොකද අපේ රටට ගාබේජ් කම්පියුටර් පැත්තෙන් වැටුන්නේ නැහැ. මදර් බෝඩ් කෑල්ලක් අපිට හොයාගන්න නැහැ. අපිට ඒ වේර් බෝඩ් එකවත් ගන්න. ඒ තරමට ඒව ආපහු කලෙක්ට් කළා. මොකද ඒව ඊතරම් තවත් වටිනවා. ඉදිරියට තවත් වටිනවා. ඒ හින්දා මම ඒකට පර්සනලි විරුද්ධයි. තැන්ක් යු සර්.
වැදගත් පැත්තක් ගැන මම හිතන්නේ පරණ මැෂින්ස් ගෙනල්ලා මෙහෙ ඩම්ප් කරනවට වැඩිය හොඳයි අලුත් මැෂින්ස් ගැන කතා කරන එක. නමුත් අපිට තියෙන ප්‍රයිසස් වල ප්‍රශ්නයක් තමයි තියෙන්නේ. දැන් මා දන්නේ නැහැ ඔයගොල්ලෝ කී දෙනෙක් දන්නවද කියලා රැස්බරි පයි කියන එක. මම මේ මෑතක කාලේ රැස්බරි පයි සහ ආඩිනෝ බෝඩ්ස් අරගෙන ඉවරලා යම්සි අපේ තාක්ෂණය පිළිබඳ යම්සි විදිහක බැලුවා කොහොමද මේක පාවිච්චි කරන්න කියන එක. රැස්බරි පයි එකෙන් ඔයගලන්ට පුළුවන් සාමාන්‍ය රුපියල් 7000කට විතර වුණාම බෝඩ් එකක් ගත්ත හැකි. ඒක කනෙක්ට් කරපුවාම USB මේ කීබෝඩ් එකට සහ යම්සි අපි හිතමු ඩිස්ප්ලේ එකට අපිට පුළුවන් සාමාන්‍ය වශයෙන් පරිගණකයක් සකස් කරගන්න. මා හිතන්නේ අන්න ඒ වගේ අපි ඒ තත්ත්වෙට ගියා නම් මා හිතන්නේ අපිට පුළුවන් මේ කුඩා ළමයින්ට, ඒ කියන්නේ අපේ ශිෂ්‍ය ශිෂ්‍යාවන්ට අර සාමාන්‍ය ප්‍රොසෙසින් පවර් එක තියෙන ලබා දෙන හැකියාවක් තියෙනවා. ඉතින් අපි බලන්නට ඕනේ පරණ මැෂින්ස් ගේනවද එහෙම නැත්නම් අලුත් තාක්ෂණය දැන් තියෙන තාක්ෂණය උපයෝග කරගෙන අපේ කුඩා දරුවන්ට මේ තාක්ෂණය ලබා දෙනවද කියන එක. මා හිතනවා මම මේ දවස්වල මම ඕනනම් අපිට පුළුවන් වැඩමුළුවක් පවා කරන්නට මේ තාක්ෂණය උපයෝග කරගෙන, ඒ කියන්නේ මේ අල්තින රැස්බෙරි පයි ඒ වගේ දේවල් උපයෝග කරගෙන යම්සි විදිහක මේ ලබා දෙන. මා තවත් හිතනවා මේ ඒ වගේ දෙයක් අපි කළොත් අර ඩිහාන් කියන මම ඉතාම බලන එක ඉතාම වැදගත්. ළමයින්ට පුළුවන් ඒ තාක්ෂණය තවත් වැඩි දියුණු කරන්න. මම හිතන්නේ ඉස්සරහට ඉන්ටර්නෙට් ඔෆ් තින්ග්ස් IoTs එනවා. මම පස්සේ ගැන අපි කතා කරමු. ඒක ඉතාම වැදගත්. නමුත් මම හිතන්නේ මේකෙන් තවත් වැදගත් දේවල් සිද්ධ වෙවි කියලා මම හිතනවා. ඉතින් අපි ඒ පැත්ත බලමු. මොකද ලොකු ප්‍රශ්නයක් වෙනවා ඉස්සරහට මේ විශේෂයෙන්ම දුරකථන. දැනට තියෙනවා මිලියන මම හිතන්නේ 21ක් මම හිතන්නේ TRC එකේ ඉන්නවා මිලියන 21ක් මම හිතන්නේ තියෙනවා. හරිනේ? ඔය දුරකථන ටික විසි කරන්න පටන් ගත්තොත් මම හිතන්නේ අපිට තාම හරියටම නිශ්චිත වශයෙන් පොලිසි එකක් විදිහට අපේ තියෙනවා. නමුත් ඒක හරියට කොහොමද කලෙක්ට් කරන්නේ, ගාබේජ් කලෙක්ට් කරන්නේ කොහොමද, ඒක රීසයිකල් කරන්නේ කොහොමද, කොහාටද ගෙනියන්නේ, ඒ පිළිබඳ යම්සි විදිහක වැඩසටහන් තියෙන්නට ඕනේ. නැත්තම් අපිට වෙන්නේ මම හිතන්නේ දැන් මර්කරි අපි මේ දැන් කතා කරනවා කැඩ්මියම් ෆර්ටිලයිසර් හින්දා. ඒ කියන්නේ පොහොර වලින් ලැබිච්ච කියලා අපි කතා කරනවා. ඒ හා සමාන ප්‍රමාණයක් අපේ පසට එන්නට පුළුවන්. මොකද මම දවසක් මට මතකයි දැන් අවුරුදු ගානකට ඉස්සෙල්ලා අවුරුදු 10කට නෑ අවුරුදු 20 ගානකට ඉස්සෙල්ලා මම ඇරිසෝනා වල හරි ලස්සනයි ඇරිසෝනා මේ ප්‍රාන්තය
Harsha, if you can
මම මේ කියන්න හදන්නේ මම යනකොට එතන සම්පූර්ණයෙන්ම මේ කෙමිකල් පොලියුෂන් එකට ලක් වෙලා. ඒ කියන්නේ තැන්වල මම දැක්කයි වෙලා තියෙන දේ. ඒ වගේ දේවල් සිදු වීමට හැකියාවක් තියෙනවා. ඒ නිසා මා හිතන්නේ මෙන්න මේ පිළිබඳ වැඩපිළිවෙලක් සකස් කිරීම ඉතාම වැදගත් වෙනවා ලංකාවේ.
Right. Okay, thank you Harsha. වෙන මොනවද ප්‍රශ්න තියෙනවද? Any other questions to any of the speakers? මෙහෙමයි මම බැලුවේ දැන් මිස්ටර් දේශප්‍රිය කිව්වා ලූන් ගැන මේ අවස්ථාවේ කතා කරන්න පොඩ්ඩක් කලින් කියලා. මම හිතන්නේ එයාට උත්තර දෙන්න පුළුවන් නම් එහෙනම් ප්‍රශ්නේ අහන්නකෝ.
මම හිතනවා වසන්ත කවන්නේ නැද්ද කතා කරන්නේ? මම හිතන්නේ
ප්‍රශ්නේ අහන්න දෙන්නකෝ මුලින්ම.
දැන් සමාන ඉන්දියාවෙත් මේ ගැටලුව ආවා පසුගිය මාසේ. මොකද දැන් ප්‍රොජෙක්ට් ලූන් එක ක්‍රියාත්මක කරනකොට දේශීය ප්‍රොවයිඩර් කෙනෙක් හරහා තමයි ඒ අයගේ සිග්නල් එක අපිට ගන්න සිද්ධ වෙන්නේ. මොකද Google ලගේ සිග්නල් දෙන්න හදනකොට ඉන්දියාව රාජ්‍ය සභාව කෙලින්ම විරුද්ධ වුණා. ඒක අපේ අනිත් ප්‍රොවයිඩර්ස් ලගේ ඒවා ඩිස්ටර්බ් වෙනවා කියලා. ඒතකොට ලංකාවේ තීරණයක් වෙලා තියෙනවද Google ලූන් එක ගන්නේ මෙන්න මේ ආයතනයෙන් තමයි අපිට දෙන්න කියලා. දෙක ඔය සියලුම බැලූන්ස් ක්‍රියාත්මක කරන්නේ ඇමරිකාවේ සිට පරිපාලනය කළ හැකි රිමෝට් කන්ට්‍රෝල් සිස්ටම් එකකින්. ඒතකොට මෙතෙක් කලක් ලංකාවේ ජාතික ආරක්ෂාව පිළිබඳව මම මේ කතා කරන්නේ වෙනින් පැත්තක්. ජාතික ආරක්ෂාව පිළිබඳ කිසිදු අබමල් රේණුවක තැකීමක් නැතුව තමයි සියලු ආණ්ඩු මේ හැම දෙයකටම දොරවල් අරින්නේ. දැන් පහුගිය ආණ්ඩුව කාලේ පිට කරපු චීන රොකට් එක නැත්නම් චන්ද්‍රිකාව තියෙන්නේ කොහෙද කියවත් ලොකේට් කරගන්න බෑ තාම කාටවත්. ඒක ඔපරේට් වෙන්නේ චීනයේ ඉඳන්. ලංකාවේ මුළු ජියොලොජිකල් සියලුම දේවල් චීනයේ ඉඳන් බලන්න ගන්න පුළුවන්. ඒතර මේ බැලූන් එකේ එව්වේ දකුණු ඇමරිකාවේ ඉඳන්. බෑවෙත් දකුණු ඇමරිකාවේ ඉඳන්. එතකොට අපිට සහතිකයක් දෙන්න පුළුවන්ද Google ලූන් බැලූන්ස් වලින් ශ්‍රී ලංකාවේ ජාතික ආරක්ෂාවට බලපෑම් වෙන්නේ නැද්ද කියලා. මොකද වෙනින් රටවල බොහෝ දේවල් වෙලා තියෙනවා.
පළවෙනි ප්‍රශ්නේ තිබ්බේ ශ්‍රී ලාංකික ජංගම ජංගම දුරකථන සේවා සපයන්නන් සමග එක බද්ධ වෙනවාද කියන එක තමයි ප්‍රධාන මෙහි යෝජනාවේ කොටසක් තියෙන්නේ. ප්‍රොජෙක්ට් රාමා කියන සමාගමේ 10% කොටස් හිමි වෙන්න යෝජිතයි. ශ්‍රී ලංකාවේ ජංගම දුරකථන ක්‍රියා කරන සමාගම් වලට ඒ සම්බන්ධ වීමෙන්. තාම ඔබතුමා ප්‍රශ්නේ කිසි කෙනෙක් හඳුනාගෙන තියෙනවද කියලා. තාම එහෙම සියලුම ජංගම දුරකථන සේවා සපයන්නන් සමග ICT ආයතන කතා කරලා තියෙනවා. තාම එක සේවා සපයන්නේ නැත්නම් නැහැ. දෙවෙනි කාරණේ ජාතික ආරක්ෂාව පිළිබඳ එකක්. මේ පිළිබඳව පසුගිය කාලයේදී මෙතන TRC ආයතනයේ නියෝජනයක් තියෙනවා. ඒ මාත්මියත් සහභාගී වුණා ඒ රැස්වීමට. ආරක්ෂා අමාත්‍යාංශ මේ පිළිබඳව වෙනම රැස්වීමක් තිබ්බා. ඒ පිළිබඳව රාජ්‍ය ආරක්ෂාවට සම්බන්ධ සියලුම ආයතන සම්බන්ධ වුණා. එයා ට්‍රැෆික් කන්ට්‍රෝලර් ඒ පැත්තේ ඉඳගෙන එයා ෆෝස් ඒ අදාළ මේ සම්බන්ධ සියලුම අය එහිදී මේ පිළිබඳව දීර්ඝ සාකච්ඡා වුණා. මේ පිළිබඳව අවධානය යොමු කරලා තිනවා. තදින් අවධානය යොමු කරලා තිනවා. එහිදී කතා වුණා කොහොමද මේ උපකරණ එකින් එක පරීක්ෂා කරන්නයි පවා ඒ සඳහා නොයෙකුත් යෝජනා ඇති වුණා. කවුරුහරි පැහැදිලිව ඔබතුමා කිව්වා වගේ හැම උපකරණයක්ම මේට එන්න ඉස්සෙල්ලා විශේෂයෙන්ම විදුලි සංදේශ නියාමක කමිසම විසින් අනුමත කළ යුතුයි. ඒ අනුමැතිය ගන්නේ කොහොමද? ඒ අනුමත කරපු එකමද එන්නේ කියන ප්‍රශ්නය පිළිබඳව තවදුරටත් සාකච්ඡා වෙනවා. මෙය තවත් රැස්වීමක් තියෙනවා. එය නොසලකා හග ක්‍රියාත්මක වෙන්නේ නැහැ. තවමත් මේ ව්‍යාපෘතිය නියම අවධියටත් ඇවිල්ලා නැහැ. ඊට පෙර ඒ සියලුම රාජ්‍ය ආරක්ෂාවට අදාළ කරතොරතුරු ඒ අංශ පිළිබඳව ඉතා දදින් ආරක්ෂා අමාත්‍යාංශය අපේ අමාත්‍යාංශයේ සහභාගීත්වය ඇතුව විදුලි සංදේශ නියාමන කමිසමේ සහභාගීත්වය ඇතුව අනිත් සියලුම යුද හමුදාවේ ඒ ආරක්ෂක අංශ සමග එකතු වෙලා කටයුතු කරනවා. ඒ පිළිබඳව මම හිතනවා තීරණයක් ගත්තා වහාම නැවත ප්‍රකාශයක් නිකුත් කරයි කියලා අදාළ ආයතන මගින්.
ස්තුතියි. තව ප්‍රශ්න තියෙනවද? අපි පොඩ්ඩක් බලමුද මේ වෙන මෙච්චර කල් කතා කරපු නැති කෙනෙක් ඉන්නවද ප්‍රශ්නයක් අහන්න කියලා? නෑ ඉස්සරට බලමු. දැන් කීප දෙනෙක් ඉන්නේ පොඩ ඉන්න. දැන් කවුරු හරි වෙන කතා කරපු නැති කෙනෙක් ඉන්නවද බලමු. නෑ මේ මිස්ටර් නිරංජන් පොඩ්ඩක් ඉන්න. ඉතින් අපි වෙන අයටත් දෙමු පොඩ්ඩක් කතා කරන්න අවස්ථාව. කවුරුත් ඉන්නවද වෙන ප්‍රශ්නයක් අහන්න කැමති? ඔව්.
මම software engineer කෙනෙක්. දැනට මම අපි government services ගත්තොත් ගොඩාක් අඩුයි ලංකාවේ. මොකද ඊටාම සුළු දේවල් ප්‍රමාණයක් තමයි අපිට online පාවිච්චි කරන්න පුළුවන්. ඒ නිසා අපි නමුත් කවුරු හරි අපේ ලංකාවේ software engineersලා use කරගෙන ඒ government services හරි මොනවා හරි improve කරන්න කට්ටියක් ඉන්නවා නම් ඒගොල්ලන්ට කොහොමද ඒ සඳහා සහභාගීත්වයක් දෙන්න පුළුවන්?
සාමාන්‍යයෙන් කියන ක්‍රමවේදය තමයි වසරකට තෝරා ගන්න යම්කිසි රාජ්‍ය සේවා සංඛ්‍යාවක් මේ වසරේදී මේවා මේ ඔන්ලයින් ගේන්න ඕනේ කියලා. ඊට පස්සේ ක්‍රමවේදය තමයි ප්‍රසම්පාදනය procurement process එක ගිහිල්ලා තමයි කරන්නේ. මොකද සාමාන්‍යයෙන් අපි දැකපු එකක් තමයි බොහෝ වෙලාවට ස්වේච්ඡාවෙන් කටයුතු කිරීමෙන් ඒ වගේ දේවල් වල අපි කියනවා සස්ටේනබිලිටි කියන එක නැති වෙනවා හුඟක් වෙලාවට. ඒ වගේ අයත් එක්ක අපට අපි දැකපු අවස්ථාව තියෙනවා බහුතරයක්. මොකද සර්විස් ලෙවල් ඇග්‍රීමන්ට් එකක් තියෙන කොන්ට්‍රැක්ට් එකක් අසං කරන්න බෑ වොලන්ටියර් ගෲප් එකක් කරාම. ඒක නිසා අපි හුඟක් ආට වොලන්ටියර්ස්ලා සම්බන්ධ කරනවා වෙන ඒ වගේ ව්‍යාපෘතියට. එහෙම තමයි වොලන්ටියර් හැටියට කරනවා නම් නැත්නම් සමාගමක් හැටියට හෝ වෙනත් ආයතනයක් මගින් සම්බන්ධයෙන් කටයුතු කරනවා නම් ඒ මෙලා දැන් මම ඉල්ලා තියෙන දැනටමත් ICT ආයතනයට ඒගොල්ලන්ගේ සියලුම ව්‍යාපෘති සහ ව්‍යාපෘති සැලසුම් සහ විශේෂයෙන්ම ප්‍රසම්පාදන සැලසුම් පවා වෙබ් අඩවිය දමන්න කියලා. දැනටමත් ප්‍රොජෙක්ට් ප්ලෑන්ස් කීපයක් තියෙනවා. ඒ අනුව කැමති මොනවද ක්‍රියාත්මක වෙන්නේ කියලා බලලා ඒ ආයතන වලට ප්‍රසම්පාදන කටයුතු හරහා තමයි සම්බන්ධ වෙන්න පුළුවන්.
ස්තුති. අපි එහෙනම් ඊළඟ we will go to the next speaker who is Manique Gunarathne, who is going to talk about difficulties faced by persons with diverse disabilities when browsing the internet.
Good morning, everyone. Everyone was talking about internet, broadband, fiber optics, all those things. But now I am going to talk to you something different. Although we are persons with disabilities, we access the internet. People with vision impairment, hearing impairment, physical disabilities, we all access the internet. But yet we have difficulties when browsing the internet. I'll be very short because my slides gives all the details. So I'll briefly tell you what are the difficulties that we face. Especially for vision impaired persons, what are the difficulties that we face. And in the internet, we have a lot of graphical contents. So the screen reading users, it's very difficult to read the graphical content. The solution that I want to give you is to mark, or the content should be written in text format so that we know what's there in the graphics. Flash contents, they are very difficult when the flash contents comes for the screen reading users. So therefore, again, either through audio format or text format, label the flash contents. And also converting and editing programs, web-based applications, they are very difficult for screen reading users. So if you can provide a different page for screen reading users so that we can also access the internet. And also there are a lot of advertisements in the internet. We are not saying that to stop all the advertisements, but you can reduce it, minimize the advertisement, because when the advertisements are popping up, the screen reader stops reading and sometimes it's very difficult. Sometimes again the host contents, it's the screen readers, it's very difficult, it freezes. So again I am telling you, provide a different page for with the basic HTML format for screen reading users. And also these videos, auto playing videos, it's also again difficult for the screen reading users. So if you can reduce the amount of auto plays, that will also be very handy. And also a lot of layouts, because I know this way all the websites are catered to people who have vision. So some layouts, it's very difficult for the screen reading users. So you can always use a layout which is accessible for screen reading users. And also most of these websites starts refreshing very often. Again, the screen reading software stops when it's refreshing. So at least if you can keep at least 15 minutes to refresh, it will be easy for vision impaired persons. And also I must say the screen reading softwares in English, but especially language, Sinhala and Tamil, we also use, if you can, when you are designing websites, if you can use the Unicode fonts, because Unicode fonts are read in screen reading software, through the screen reading software. Either you can use Iskolapotha for Sinhala and Lata font for Tamil, so it will be highly appropriate, because persons with disabilities, vision impaired persons, they come from the very grassroots level. So English is a problem for them. So if you can have these websites in the Unicode font, especially the Sinhala and the Tamil, it will be highly appreciated. Swing buttons, sometimes these pages are not accessible. So if you can use the basic buttons, we are highly appreciated. And color combinations and font size, because vision impaired persons come in different formats. Some read large print. And color combination also, some people have difficulty in reading. So if you can have a separate place on the top right hand corner or left hand corner, so that you can increase the font size with the magnifier and read this website, and also the color combination. Bad coding practices, so that's also very difficult for screen reader users. It's not possible to make everything accessible, but you can make the maximum. Policy makers, decision makers, web designers, if you have a policy, some mechanism at least to give some intensives for web designers, if they are making accessible websites, that will motivate them to have more accessible websites. And also, if there are frames, titles should be provided, because it's very easy for us to navigate through titles, headings, tables, right? If they are marked, it's very easy. Provide a side map for easy navigation. Availability of skip navigation keys is very important. Allow access keys. And also, what are those problems are faced by vision impaired persons? What are the problems faced by persons with hearing impairment, especially sign language interpretation? Because from the very grassroots level, sometimes hearing impaired persons, they don't read printed text, so there should be a sign language interpretation on the side of the website. So I think because we as persons with disabilities, like you do, we also access the internet. So just think for yourself, just close your eyes for a few seconds and see how vision impaired persons access the internet. Just close your ears for a while and see, just think how a hearing impaired person could access the internet. It's not easy. And also there are people with physical disabilities without fingers, and it's very difficult as wheelchair users, very difficult to access the internet. So just think for yourself and think what you can do for us. That's very important, because we also part of you. I'm really happy the Internet Society for this forum, you all included persons with disabilities. That's very important. This inclusion is very important. Thank you very much, and that was my 4 minutes 59 seconds presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Manique. And next I would like to invite Lieutenant Uditha Pushpakumara from Sri Lanka Army to talk of use of internet by armed forces on development activities.
Good afternoon, Professor Gihan and all the distinguished guests, and ladies and gentlemen. It gives me a pleasure that I have got this significant opportunity to express you a few words, but not the developments of the Sri Lanka Army. I can't express this minimum time, that kind of big topic, but I would like to take this opportunity to give my sincere gratitude, especially Internet Society, the Sri Lanka chapter, that they have taken steps to enhance the knowledge of the Sri Lanka National Guard, the largest regiments of the Sri Lanka Army. Now, I'm representing that, especially the president of the Wijewardana branch, Sri Lanka National Guard, Mrs. Thelma Pira, is here. That madam has taken starting the program, the soldiers who didn't have a chance even log into the internet, not only the speed, but after the post-war scenario, the regimental has taken many steps, especially the Internet Society, Sri Lanka chapter. They gave their maximum support with voluntarily. The 2015, they came and they guided, and now I think, especially I'm representing Sri Lanka National Guard, but I'm working the Pudukudrippu, Mulatiu. Especially there are many soldiers. Once we considering the facts that they have considered and the duty and the personality of the military, now literacy of the ICT and the professionalism of the Sri Lanka National Guard, I would like to take this minimum time to again and again give our sincere gratitude on behalf of the Colonel of the regiment and the President of the Seva Wanita branch, that they didn't forget us, especially they gave their maximum fullest support to the Sri Lanka National Guard, starting this, give the ability to and the professionalism of the ICT knowledge, especially the internet. I think my soldiers now, they have, those who have attend to that programs at Sri Lanka National Guard Kurunegala, now even they didn't have idea about the computer. Because of that, most of the time they were in defense line, but suddenly the change after won the war, suddenly the people who didn't have literacy and the language skills, they had to face many challenges. But the Sri Lanka National Guard, the leadership of the regiments, and I think even some of them have disability, like the civilians who have expressed the ideas and the difficulties that they have faced, the same problem they also have. But I think the development, now we have talking and the skills. We would like to thank the Internet Society Sri Lanka chapter. They gave their attention to the Sri Lanka National Guard. I think and I expect, please give your maximum support in the future also. This is the talents that the soldiers have difference. Especially if you can improve and get the support from the software, not only software, the application, I think that capability also with that soldiers. But don't forget that and give your support and give your guidance and give your attention to them, and they will be the development and they will be the maximum and they will be the part of your process also. Then thank you very much for giving me patient hearing, and I wish you all the very best, all of you. Thank you.
Thank you, Lieutenant Pushpakumara. Next, I'd like to invite Sagarika Vikramasekara from ISOC Sri Lanka and also Horana campus, Sri Pali campus, to give a presentation on Beyond the Reach for physically challenged people. I think she will explain what she means by that. You can just start and then while that is getting organized.
Yes, good morning everyone. I'm Sagarika. So you all have now heard about what are the difficulties faced by the physically challenged and visually impaired, vision impaired people. And now we, by hearing all of this, by now I don't think we have the solution for that, because many software developers, we don't, actually speaking, we are a bit selfish in ourselves, because we don't think about other people. We always think about the market, not about the minor communities. So now we have been thinking all of this as Internet Society Sri Lanka. So we were thinking about how to cater for the minorities who are using internet. Now, as you can see in this particular slide, you can see beyond the reach, but don't misunderstand this as the beyond the beach, because so why we put this name to our project? Because when we were doing the training program for the Army veterans in Sri Lanka Army in Kurunegala National Guard, so we have have the seed of this idea. So how do we help them? Because we have seen many vision impaired people who are struggling to access or browse the internet with so many difficulties. So fortunately, so ISOC International, through the Beyond the Net funding program, they were willing to help us on help this particular project. How do we do that? So our vision is to basically, actually speaking, we were trying to help the vision impaired people at first stage. So our vision is new vision to vision impaired. And our mission is life make easy for visually handicapped people to allow them using internet with proficiency. So that was the basic idea. So now you have been hearing all these difficulties people, physically challenged people are facing at the moment, and target audience. So actually speaking, we were earlier targeting only the Army veterans, physically challenged Army veterans for this project. But lately we have decided to spread this through the island wide. So in Sri Lanka, if we talk about the statistics, Sri Lanka has a population of 20 million, and around this 200,000 believed to be blind, and 400,000 believed to be in low vision due to many factors like refractive errors, glaucoma, diabetic, etc. And rest of them are due to 30 years of war. So then the intended outcomes of the project. So as Manique suggested, so we are trying to introduce training within the regions with the model mobile app. Why we designed that is, now actually speaking, the people with different physical disabilities, we cannot bring them down to Colombo to train them. So that is why we are planning to, without bringing them down to Colombo, we are going down to their places and introduce the internet access to the public ISOCs within the public officers. Actually speaking, especially we are planning to give them the access through the divisional secretariats. They have Uditha centers like that. And then increase the number of websites that support visually impaired, increase the textbook for their studies in web for visually impaired, increase the content for their studies in web for visually impaired. How do we reach? So that is the most important thing. Now in the stage 1, we will train 15 trainers. That is at the spark of train the trainers method. And we will train the 60 people in the starting step. In the second stages, using Uditha centers and divisional secretaries, 150 people will be trained. After the training, each training module, we will do the evaluation and we will improve the course modules. And these are the target provinces for the initial stage. And this is our team. We have very few members. If this is succeeded, then we can go for the next. If you have any questions, you can ask now. Thank you.
Thank you, Sagarika. So I would now like to open the floor for questions regarding this sub-theme, which is access for disabled people, which could be visually, hearing handicapped people, physically handicapped people, mentally handicapped people, and other types of handicaps. So I think we will limit the questions to that area during this question and answer session. Yes, Dr. Kavan.
Now, when we develop websites, there are software like LinkedIn, which you can look to make sure that your particularly I was amused at the comment about refresh, which is done by a lot of websites to get more hits when even if the content has not been changed. So is there a software that can be run to make sure that you are properly configured for visually impaired?
It's not. Actually, you can test it with the screen reading software that we are using, and you get the assistance of another vision impaired paper, because with that software only we can check whether it's accessible or not. There are no specific other software.
Can I make just a comment? I think I was the silent person in the panel. Depending on different types of, not really websites, sometimes what visually impaired people or the hearing impaired people need is a kind of a portal access, which may have various things in various places of the screen, and then just the screen reader may not help that much. If it is just an information page, it will help. Now we did a project with blind students at Ratmalana Blind School, group of students with me. Now the challenge was whenever they wanted to actively involve, let's say in forums and assignments and things like that as a learning activity. So what we did was we used Moodle as a platform and tried it. So it needed not only the guidance through the interface, so we could give certain shortcuts and things like that, but it had to be customized for that. So I think that's a challenge that we have. So different platforms or different web portals may need different types of customization. Plus, it will also need certain other equipment. For an example, when there's a graphics, how to represent that? When there's a mathematical equation, how to represent that? So we had few solutions. We tested it. It worked. Unfortunately, there was no one to fund it and take it forward. But the challenges are that so that we can support any kind of a website. I don't know who can answer that. But we also face the same challenge when we develop this.
Content management systems now support the accessibility, like Joomla and WordPress. They have certain accessibility. But
I think one of the best ways is to use a content management system and enable their accessibility module, I think.
We also make it mandatory for web developers when they are developing websites that to be comply with but it is there's a lot of work to be done, because every picture, every graphic, everything has to be reworked on. Which has W3C test certificate on their website shown, but it is something to be continued.
Joomla, you can actually check. I think Drupal is better. I think I don't know what I saw. All those have accessibility, and the test that is available on the W3C site as well.
So basically, the navigation is supported.
Yeah, navigation, and you can now, like for instance, smaller fonts, you can enlarge it, and the readers normally read from. I mean, they allow certain amount of accessibility, but we have to do more work.
So let me add one more thing within this Beyond the Reach project. We are planning to have software developers gather, 15 software developers, to focus on special needs of the physically challenged group and develop a software and put that as a kiosk in the government offices like divisional secretariats, and they would be able to access the public information in very easy manner. I don't know how far that will be successful, but we will try for that. Thank you.
Any further questions? Anybody, any other questions on this topic? Okay, if there are no questions on this topic, I think Ms. Menaka Patirana is here. She's there. Are you Menaka? No, okay, she's not Menaka. Okay, right. So in that case, I believe all the speakers have spoken. Did I forget anybody? Yeah, Mr. Rohit Tulagama couldn't make it. So I would like to keep the floor open for any general questions, but I would like to invite Mr. Harsha Wijewardana to start because he wanted to say something.
Yeah. What I wanted to say was that there were questions regarding this translations. And I think one of the things what we should do is, I think, of course, that we have to have a trilingual website. I have been trying so many constantly. The issue, so how we address this issue? It's what we had to do is we had to come up with a translators, Tamil or the Sinhala translators. Now we have done the transliterators. I think it works now. The Sinhala translators work very well. And the next step would be to do the translations. So translators. So I think the government, should sponsor some projects. I think they have done some, but I think we have to go forward, and I think we have to put a more effort in do that. What we can do is actually the translators can automatically translate. We can have it either in English or in Sinhala or Tamil. Answer to the problem that what we are faced today. I think that's just I want to say that.
I also would like to support Mr. Harsha. In this country is very important and very much needed if you are going to get the next 5 million or 10 million people online. Are you going to respond to that or a different question? Yes, please go ahead.
I mean, Google does test translation. It's not too good. But my question is, what is Sri Lanka doing to help organizations like Google to do a better job than what they are doing now?
Actually, I know it's a very difficult. I mean, I know we have a lab at the UCSC, and I know they are working on it. Dr. Ruanveer Singh and his team. It's a very difficult task, and what Google is doing, I think. It is. It is not the good translation that it is totally. The OCR work I did, or I am doing right now, all that stuff is not funded by anybody. So I do it with whatever the funds that I get, and we get it done. So what you require is more funding into this R&D work. And so that we can have more people into the teams. Now, if we can, we should have several projects for these translations. It should be a national project. The national project, that's what we have to go. So if we do that as a national project, I think we can actually also help Google. We did help Google when it comes to transliterators. Some of us did, and even what I did was actually you type it in Sinhala, that can see it in English and this one. So what I'm trying to say is the same thing. Same tools can be used for the translators. Translators as a national project. If that we do that.
Thank you, Harsha. So I would also like to mention that at University of Morato also we have started a translation project with the Department of Official Languages. I think, as Harsha mentioned, one of the most important things is there are many things happening, but if we have several groups of people working together to improve the translation, it's good. So my suggestion, Harsha, is let's first get our two universities, Morato and UCSC, working together rather than separately. Yeah, some time ago, but for this particular project, for translator, and continue.
I was reading an article on future of media and communication, and I read that by 2020 there won't be a language problem in internet. So all will be automatically translated. You can see it in your own language. What do you think about that?
Yeah, my feeling, I think 2020 is very optimistic at the speed it's going. So recently I was trying to look at some websites in Japanese and Chinese, went to Google Translate and Microsoft Translate. You can get about 50%, but nothing much more than that. And these are major languages like Japanese to English. Then I was just trying Spanish to, I just, yesterday night I looked at a Spanish website and managed to get a basic idea what they were talking about, but it was nothing much. And when it comes to what they call minority languages, which includes Sinhala, with less than 100 million or whatever speakers, it's going to be very, very difficult. I mean, we just did this Google Translate Sinhala to Tamil. It was completely useless. It was not useful for anything. Some sentences got translated, some were going in. And one problem with Google Translate me say is if you can't do it, it doesn't say sorry I can't. It just gives nonsense, complete nonsense, which I think is bad. It should simply say, okay, I can't understand this sentence, I won't try to translate it, which unfortunately it doesn't. Right. So anyway, so translation is one. Any other questions or comments? We have a few more minutes. Yes, please.
භාෂාව පිළිබඳ ප්‍රශ්නයක් හින්දා මම යහන්නේ. ඔය කලින් ප්‍රසන්ටේෂන් එක සඳහන් වුණා ස්කෝල පොත සිංහල යුනිකෝඩ් එකයි ලතා දෙමළ යුනිකෝඩ් එකයි ගැන. නමුත් ඇතැම් වෙබ් අඩවිය බලන්න යන යූසර්ස්ලා විශේෂයෙන් මම මේ මැද පෙරදිග සහ වෙනත් රටවල අයගේ අත්දැකීමක් කියන්නේ ඒ අයට මේ ස්කෝල පොත ඩවුන්ලෝඩ් වෙලා නැහැ. ඒ හින්දා මට දැන් කියනවා අයියා බෝල කොටු තමයි පේන්නේ කියලා නිවුස් එක පේන්නේ. ඉතින් සමහර ආයතන තියෙනවා මම දන්න තරමින් අපේ ස්වාභිමානී සම්මානයකට ලැබුණ භාෂා ආයතනය ඒ අයගේ තියෙනවා මේ software එකක් ඒක ඒ වෙබ්සයිට් එකේ ඒ කැලල දා තිබ්බහම ඔටෝ ඩවුන්ලෝඩ් වෙනවා ෆොන්ට් එක. ඒ කියන්නේ තමන්ගේ කම්පියුටරේ නොතිබුණත් ඒ සිංහල ෆොන්ට් එක තමන් එතෙන්ට ගියාම ඉබේ අපි දාපු ෆොන්ට් එක ඩවුන්ලෝඩ් වෙලා පේන්න පටන් ගන්නවා. ඒ වගේ එකක් අපේ රජයේ ආයතනවල වෙබ් අඩවි වලට යොදන්න උත්සාහ නොකරන්නේ ඇයි කියන එක ප්‍රශ්නේ.
උත්සාහය ධනිකගෙන එක කතා කරලා සෑහෙන්න අපිට සමස්ත රාජ්‍යංශයට මිලියන 10ක් අවශ්‍ය වුණා ගාන අන්තිමට කතා කර එක තමයි උනේ. නමුත් ඒ වෙලාවේ ඒක එච්චර ප්‍රායෝගික දෙයක් වුණේ නැහැ. මොකද එහෙම වුණොත් අනිත් සිංහල ඩෙවලොප්මන්ට් උත් සේරම නවතින්න ඉඩ තියෙන හින්දා ඒක සර්වර් සයිඩ් රෙන්ඩරින් එකක් කරන එකක්. ඒක හින්දා මම හිතන්නේ ඒක හොඳ ඉනෝවේෂන් එකක් හැටියට කියන්න පුළුවන්. නමුත් මම හිතන්නේ අපේ සම්පූර්ණ භාෂා අපිටම මේ ලෝකලයිසේෂන් කියන එෆර්ට් එකට පැත්තට එතනින් එහාට සපෝට් එකක් නැති වෙනවා. ඒක ගියොතින් අපි සම්පූර්ණයෙන්ම එකට හිර වෙලා එතනින් එහාට අනිත් සියල්ලම දිවිනුවීම් නවතිනවා. ඒකයි මම හිතුවේ.
ඔය ප්‍රශ්නය ගැන මම කතා කළොත් කමන්නේද බං?
පොඩ්ඩක් මම මොහොතක් මම මිස්ටර් දේශප්‍රියගේ සපෝට් කරනවා. අර සමහර ඒවා තියෙනවා ෆික්සර්ස්. ඒ කියන්නේ ඒ අවස්ථාවේ තියෙන ප්‍රශ්නේ විසඳන්න මොකක් හරි ගැට ගහනවා. ඒකෙන් වෙන්නේ ඇත්තටම අර හරියටම ප්‍රශ්න විසඳන එක ඩිලේ වෙනවා. ඇත්තට දැන් බැලුවොත් 2015 16 බැලුවොත් හැම එකෙම ඒ කියන්නේ Windows ඒ වගේම Linux Ubuntu වගේ දේවල් Android iOS ඒ හැම එකෙම අලුත්ම version එකේ සිංහල තියෙනවා. ඒක හින්දා ප්‍රශ්නේ නැහැ. එකම දේ ඉතින් අපේ මිනිස්සු අලුත්ම version එක හැමදාම පාවිච්චි කරන්නේ නැහැ. සමහර අය ගොඩක් පරණ ඒවා පාවිච්චි කරන එක පිළිගන්නවා. ඒක හින්දා අපි හුඟක් ඉස්සර මට මතකයි දැන් අවුරුදු මන්දනේ 7-8කට කලින් අපි ඒව බැලුවා. පස්සේ අපිට හිතුණා නෑ මේක කාලයාගේ නැවෑමෙන් මේ ප්‍රශ්නේ විසඳෙයි කියලා අපි හිටියා. ඒක ඇත්තටම වෙලා. දැන් බැලුවොත් Facebook එකේ හැමෝම සිංහලෙන් දඩබඩ ගාලා ගහනවා. ඒක ප්‍රශ්නයක් වෙලා නෑ. මිනිසුන්ට කියවන්නත් පුළුවන්. සමහරවිට අවුරුදු ටිකක් ගියාට පස්සේ ඔය තියෙන ප්‍රශ්න ඇත්තටම දැන් ඔය වගේ ප්‍රශ්න තමයි කියන්නේ. ඒ වුණාට දැන් මීට 10කට අවුරුදු 10කට කලින් ගත්තොත් සම්පූර්ණයෙන්ම වෙනස් ප්‍රශ්න තියෙන්නේ. ඇත්තටම මට සිංහලේ තියෙන ලොකුම ප්‍රශ්නේ තාම සිංහල කීබෝඩ් එකක් හරියට නෑ මොකකටවත්. Windows එකේ එන එක sort of 90ක් විතර වැඩ කරන ඉතුරු අකුරු ටික ගහන්න බෑ. Android එකෙත් හරියට නෑ. iPhone එක ගැන මම වැඩි දන්නේ නෑ. ඒ වගේ ප්‍රශ්න තියෙනවා. ඒ ප්‍රශ්න සංඥාක අකුරු තියෙනවා. ඒවා ගන්න හැටි දැනගන්න පොඩ්ඩක් වෙනම අධ්‍යයනයක් කරන්න ඕනේ. ඒකයි ප්‍රශ්නේ.
පොඩි දෙයක් කියන්න නෑ මේ යුනිකෝඩ් ගත්තාම දැන් ඇත්තටම යුනිකෝඩ් කියන්නේ තාක්ෂණයක්. දැන් ඔතන අර පොඩි දෙයක් තියෙන අර ෆොන්ට් ඩවුන්ලෝඩ් කරන්න අවශ්‍යතාවය නෑ. අර කොටු එන්නේ අර හරියට රෙන්ඩරින් එන්ජින් එක වැටුනේ නැති වුනහම තමයි මේ කොටු එන්නේ. අනිත් එක පොඩි දෙයක් කියනවනේ ඉස්කෝලේ පොත ගැන. ඉස්කෝලේ පොතේ සමහරක් අකුරු වැරදි ඒ කාලේ හදපුවා තාම එක කළා නෑ. දැන් අර නිර්මල කියලා නිර්මලනේ ෆොන්ට් එක දැන් අලුතෙන් Microsoft ලා හදලා තියෙනවා. ඒක හොඳටම හොඳයි ඇත්තටම යුනිකෝඩ් වල. ඒකයි අනිත් එක දෙවෙනි එක තමයි අපේ මේ ICT සයිට් එකට ගියාම දැන් ගොඩක් ෆොන්ට්ස් තියෙනවා මේ අර දිනමින ෆොන්ට් එක බේස් කරගෙන හදපු ෆොන්ට්ස් ඩවුන්ලෝඩ් කරගන්න පුළුවන්. ඒවා යුනිකෝඩ් හොඳට වැඩ කරනවා. ඉතින් ඇත්තටම අර මා හිතන්නේ අර ඒක අර මම හිතන්නේ හුඟක් වෙලාවට ඔක යූස් උනේ අර Android phones වගේ ඉස්සර අර රෙන්ඩර් වෙච්ච නැති වුනහම තමයි අර tool එක අවශ්‍ය උනේ. දැන් ඒක ඇත්තටම අවශ්‍යතාවයක් නැහැ. ගොඩාක් Android phones වල හොඳට යනවා. iOS උත් දැන් ප්‍රශ්නයක් නැහැ නේ. majority da iOS නැහැ. මම හිතන්නේ එකම ප්‍රොබ්ලම් එක මම දකින්නේ එකම ප්‍රශ්නේ මම දකින්නේ SMS ගහන්න අපිට හරි SMS තාම ගහනවා සිංහල මේ රෝමන් මේ වලින් මේ ලෙටර්ස් වලින් මට ඒක ටිකක් අප්සෙට්. ඉතින් මම හිතනවා අපිට හොඳ කීබෝඩ් එකක් ආවොත් ඔය ප්‍රශ්නේ निराකරණය වෙයි කියලා. ඉතින් තවත් නැෂනල් ප්‍රොජෙක්ට් එකක් තමයි ඒක අපි කරන්න. මම කියන්නේ ඒක තමයි මම කියන්නේ. නමුත් අර හුඟ දෙනෙක් දැන් තාම ගහන්නේ අර රෝමන් සිංග්ලිෂ් නේද ඒක? රෝමන් ලෙටර්ස් වලින් එහෙම ෆොන්ට් එක දැන් නෑ මම කියන්නේ එහෙම ගහන්න නැත. මම කියන්නේ ගහන්න ගහුවොත් අන්න ඒකක් තියෙනවා නම් ඒ වගේ දෙයක් දුන්නා නම් උඟ දෙනෙක්ට මම හිතන්නේ මේ SMS අරින්න මම හිතන්නේ ඒකක් නිර්මාණය කළොත් හොඳයි.
Okay, thank you Harsha. තව ප්‍රශ්න වලට any other questions? Yes, please come.
I am Wijewardana. Actually I am representing Chamber of ICT Central Province. Actually, it's one way, it's a question as well as this is something experience sharing also. We have started a project in Central Province that is to enhance ICT facilities at needy schools, I mean the very rural schools. Now, recently we had a project at Madugalla school, and we improved the computer lab, and then we have tried to improve the networking facility, but we totally failed in that. Actually, the question I want to ask from our secretary, the Minister of Digital, and is there any project or any method that you are having at the moment to improve internet facilities, particularly in these rural areas, rather than, looking at the balloons at the moment, do we have any particular practical, the existing solution for that problem?
There are, as I said, National Broadband Network Initiative is something that has been started with TRC and SLT. And in the meanwhile, dialogue has also started, and now I learned very recently there's a court case also involved in this, so I should not go elaborate more on that. However, there are we as the ministry we want to take up this matter, and we learned very recently there's a court case also involved in this, so I should not go elaborate more on that. However, there are we as the ministry we want to take up this matter, and especially in national broadband policy, new generation network and all that. Honorable Minister has advised us to give him a sort of action plan for how to get into the rural areas and support that. So that's something that is coming. But what we have already planned are ICT has a major project that is to provide internet to government organization by using fiber networks, but there's an aspect into that there would be public hotspot, wireless Wi-Fi hotspots in government organizations. So it is something to be still proven because I haven't seen the survey results of the previous Wi-Fi project initiative. So in order to break the address the roadblocks or the challenges, barriers, whatever has come have been there for the first project should be sorted out. That is my stand for going on, because I heard that there are a lot of problems in a register. Somebody has to go to the US mobile service provider to get registered and so on, to use free Wi-Fi. So it is not a very practical way of doing that. So however, so for in next 3 years, ICTA is planning to connect 4,500 government organizations broadband. Minimum, they are planning to start with 20 Mbps lease lines and going up to 100 Mbps. So there would be, if that works, 4,500 nearly Wi-Fi hotspots for people to use, but it is still not going into the real rural areas. That is to be limited to DA, divisional secretariats, agrarian service centers, and so on. So people might be able to come and use it, and especially to use government services. So it is still, the case is still there, whether Nanasala or VGK or whatever that is, that community centers for providing internet facilities, whether they have still a case, whether there is a case for that. Since we don't have any alternative for taking internet to the rural areas, Mr. Niranjan Migamana said that it has proven that it has worked. And very good, I have seen it very in. One problem was that, out of 1,000 Nanasala ICT did, 1/3 was not connected to internet because no service provider could support it. So that's where sometimes, Google Loon could have a role to play, where really when people are not connected, the inclusiveness side is they can play a major role. So I am still supporting Nanasala project. So I made them encourage them to invest money on improving, supporting, sustaining that model, and probably this year would be to again argue it out and see what way should be going, because we don't have strategic plan or something like that. We are determined to get something for next 3 years. So in that plan, we would identify the role of Nanasala and community centers for providing rural network.
Thank you, Mr. Deshapriya.
Since the schools were mentioned, can I say a word?
Okay, we want to talk very, very briefly there.
Right. Because I want to say this may be controversial as well.
And actually, as a school net person, I think you're the
yes.
person.
Now, in fact, there was something called SchoolNet, which had around, for Nanasalas we talk about thousands, I think there were around 3,500 schools connected. And there were web hosting facilities, email facilities, all that. But the issue was that when it was set up from a particular project, it was funded. And at that time, using the technology that was there at that time, lease lines were provided, which was just 64K or 128K. But now it has come to a situation where it cannot further go on like that because responsible authorities have not transferred that technology to the newer ones where the cost-wise it should have been very much lower than that. So there have been various discussions, but nothing happens. But of course now, unfortunately, now, so I am from University of Mathura side in this case, so we have been providing the technical support for that and managing that. But then infrastructure and the cost factor has to be managed by the ministry side. So the things have not happened in the way it should have been. But now I think the blame is there, but this is something that is not usable. The story is not really true, right? But what has actually happened is that the transition that should have taken place has not taken place despite the explanations and the instructions given. Even right now, it is not happening. Ultimately, when the bill went up, of course, it's one story whether the bills are high or not, but on the other hand, necessary steps have not been taken. So ultimately, what SLT did was they cut the connection. So now for about, I think, 3 weeks, schools are not connected. So there were around 3,500 schools, and there were around 1,500 active websites. And I think Minister has said, okay, at least part payment can be given and then this can be connected. But still the issue is not only connecting. So the transformation has to happen, which has not taken place. And then people now blame the University of Mathura as well, saying that they have not managed, which is not the true story. But of course, it depends on the policymakers. I think they should decide what is best, what is scalable, and what should be done. And based on that, in the national interest, proper decisions should be taken. But I don't see that happening.
Schools are collecting money for everything, almost everything. I don't know, even a very small amount, when they can, why can't they collect from students? I don't know.
Yeah. So right now, I think issue was one school was charged 9,000 rupees for the connection for 128K, but that is not the whole problem. It would have been transferred to, now even the ADSL technology is there, and then SLT offered even a lower rate, higher speed connection. But the problem was the formalities that should take place, the signing the agreements and then coming to agreement, those things didn't take place.
I think it's a big problem, but we will leave that aside for the moment. Mr. Niranjan, I think you had a question earlier which we couldn't. Would you like to say that now, or anybody else has a question? Keep it very brief, Niranjan. Right.
There are some 1,000 labs, as far as I know, was set up last year. And they were really good, I mean, I must
last
say.
year by whom?
Mahindode. I didn't mention the name, right. I mean, basically, so they were really good labs, 64 computers in each. I went to Kundasale, I went to Wattagama, and some schools have, the lab is closed. This is a big problem because they bring out many reasons. There is no teacher, and many labs are not connected. These 64,000 computers, whoever set up, doesn't matter what name they come from, they are our money. We must work out a method to bring these 64,000 computers and these 1,000 labs into our mainstream so that this will reach at least 1 million users, school students. So we have the next 500,000 users. We have the equipment. We are not utilizing it. So I don't know whether Education Ministry is here. One area that IT Ministry can take a look at it. Brand new computers. 64 in each school, 1,000 schools. Okay.
Yeah, and then I was in the committee who did the evaluations.
Yes, Niranjan, our ministry has also been involved in that. Our ministry has also set up some labs, and I fully agree with that. There has not been any due diligence in relation to those projects, and we have also started to do a survey first to identify what's on the ground and what has gone wrong, and to come up with, because we have also allocated some money to do more labs in this year. So I decided that before going in and doing the same mistakes, we should look at the problem and then see how we could ensure that, as you said, whatever the given machines, PCs would be used before we go and dump more machines. Right.
No, sometimes it is the teacher, sometimes computers are given, the principal has not worked on getting the electricity in one school. In fact, I went for observation because we had to recommend the payments because the vendor who provided was not getting paid. So since I was in the technical evaluation committee, right, and then I also had to go to FCID because of this. Yes, and then because sometimes in some schools we observe the three-phase line is just next to the school, and the computers are there for 6 months without even the warranty is getting expired, not being even opened up, and then some are dusty, right? So the responsibility is not solely with the project, it's the stakeholders who should take the responsibility, whereas in some schools it has been used very well.
Okay, I think we will stop that.
Professor, one thing I need to add about the Google Loon now, although we closed that discussion, what
okay,
I would...
Before that, Asela, so we will close this schools topic. Is this related to schools or different?
No, it is not related.
Okay, so can we just see if there is any other questions on any other new topic which we haven't discussed before? Because we have to stop also. I would like to see if there are any people who didn't talk up to now, give them a chance to speak.
I didn't speak.
Yeah, but you are a vice president. Okay, if there is no other talk, then I said okay.
So what I and also the chair of the IGF, what we spoke about was this is the correct time to talk about Google because it has to be a two-way discussion. Government is looking at the policies, how the national security and all that, and on the user side, the demand side, you have to get our input. This is a good forum to get that input, I think. So I don't hinder that discussion. That's my suggestion. Let it flow. Let our views also be heard. Let the operators' views also be heard. Let the users' view also be heard. Some people still think Google Loon maybe is just a marketing thing by the government, or maybe it's really going to help us in the penetration of the next billionth. So let the discussion flow. Don't stop it. So that's my suggestion to the forum. So it's a good opportunity. IGF is a good opportunity for the two parties, the policymakers and the users, to have a fruitful discussion. So that's my suggestion only.
Thank you, Asil. I think what we should probably do is maybe in another month or two have a separate, not IGF, but a separate discussion, maybe half a day, 1 day, whatever it is, especially on Google Loon, get all the stakeholders together. But we have to make sure that the government is also ready. I mean, if, as Wasantha said, things are not yet in a situation where you can even defend it because you have not got to that stage, it's difficult. But definitely at the same time, what we don't want is suddenly something to come as a fait accompli and say, here is Google Loon, there was no discussion whatsoever, it just came. So I think both are bad. We should not try to discuss things before they are ready. At the same time, we should not wait till it's complete. So maybe the ministry together with ISOC, various other organizations, we can organize and of course TRC, ICTA, all those can organize a forum for that. That would be probably a good thing to do. Okay, so unless somebody has a really, really burning question, I think we have lunch is ready. So I will hand you back to the computer.
So, excuse me. Actually, IGF is the platform to discuss about the things like that. So we made the multi-stakeholdership here in this forum. So the things like internet-related issues, like Google Loon and anything like that, should be discussed within the IGF. It's the mission of IGF. It's a just an explanation.
Rather than, I think, in my opinion, Professor Gihan has articulated it very nicely because there has been a MOU signed just an MOU, and there are many things said, written in it. However, that still TRC or defense authorities are yet to look into all these aspects and come to an agreement. So it is basically, as he said, it is, we know that Google balloons will be, sent to sky and from California or Salvador or somewhere and float into our stratosphere and will be there, and then they will be again taken back to California for landing. So that is those are some information, we know how it would go up and go down and controlled and all that. But rather than the key core issues like security and how they are going to cooperate with local companies and so all are to be still discussed and finalized. So it is something that definitely it is a good project for the government, country, simply because it can cover areas where, as I said, one-third of Nanasala couldn't be connected by through open tenders at whatever the price it could be. Out of 330 divisional secretariats, there are over 10 divisional secretariats which cannot be connected other than by using microwave. So microwave is basically, it's very unreliable when you are working on enterprise level solution. Basically, if you need a little lot of bandwidth. So in that situation, I guess this could be a very good solution. And as well as it is said, as said in their website, is you can connect by Google Loon when there is a disaster. All the whatever the infrastructure that would be not available, and not for information infrastructure that is not available, the areas could be very useful for connecting people and organization. So that is the only facts that we could bring it to the table right now. So it is, as he said, 2 months or 3 months, somewhere down the line, we might be in a better position to answer all the questions when there would be more balloons in the sky.
Okay, thank you. I think we will close the session now and hand you back to the computer. So while this is happening, I would like to thank all the speakers for their good presentations and all the people who asked questions. Thank you very much. They were very relevant. And of course, this is a forum, so it's not a question where things are answered definitively. Right? We ask questions, we may get some kind of answer, but sometimes the question is more important than the answer, so we'll keep going.